Hey there, everybody. Welcome to History 151 and the fall semester 2025. Here we go. Welcome to World History. Hope you're kind of getting familiar with the Lamaku page. I know every professor's is a little bit different, so kind of take a look at mine. Mine will be pretty much the same format layout every week, where there'll be a little introduction. Some lessons. Each lesson sort of split up by lectures and topics. Within each lesson, there's lectures, there's readings, interactives, then a little accordion for the PowerPoints and the PDFs. Those will be handy for reviewing for the quizzes and such. Not every lecture has readings and interactives, every lesson, but everyone has some lectures, so kind of mix and match as we go. What you found this week. Just a couple things. So format and the syllabus, please take a look at that as well. You can click it on Lamaku there. Syllabus. There's a little syllabus survey. If you could just kind of quickly fill that out. That just sort of talks about some main points from the survey from the syllabus that you should be familiar with, like who I am a little bit. What about a guideline, assignment guidelines, what to do if you miss assignments, those kind of things. So take a look at that. And then if you have any questions, email me. And then this week, really kind of just starting off, what do we know about where we came from? And we know a lot. There's a lot we don't know still, which is fun. I mean, history is nothing in history is super definitive, which is exciting. So talked about origins. I mean, humans have been talking about where they came from since we could talk. And we have a lot of ideas of that, kind of creation myths, which I think are fascinating. Every society, culture has a creation myth. Where they come from, a lot of times is embedded with religion, though not always. And then the idea of evolution. There's a science part of it where we have sort of evidence, empirical fact. Science has talked about this Big Bang, where this singularity banged. But we don't really know. I mean, there's still a lot of questions. I mean, mathematicians, physics, math, chemical spectrometry, all this stuff kind of talks about that this could be a good explanation, but the actual mechanics of that is still being worked out. Maybe we all exist in a black hole. Who knows? But we know that the idea is that humans evolved from, that evolution and that animals and things come about, and we have sort of the tree of that, and then you can look at the lecture there. But about 300, I think it's presumed about, if you went back in time, 300,000 years ago, you would meet humans, right? And there were other humanoid groups around all the way up to about 50,000 years ago, Neanderthals, and various other groups, Denisovans, all of these other groups. The humans somehow won. That explains a little bit, that we were bipedal, we were good at using our hands. Some people say we were able to communicate better. Some people say that we developed bigger brains, some because of language, all these things that allowed us to somewhat thrive. Though there are certain times in history where we could have collapsed and humans could have been extinct, right? So very interesting. But that gives us the Paleolithic period, which about 300,000 years ago, where humans start to sort of, it's more hunting and gathering, but start to utilize tools. Again, this is evidence of tool use, some more permanent settlement areas, a lot of cave things, not so, wood doesn't really last that long, but stones do. So kind of the Stone Age, and then all the way up into about 12,000 BC, 10,000 BC, about 10,000 years ago to round up. There's this transition, what we call the Neolithic transition, which shows signs, evidence of more complex societies, settled societies. This also correlates with changes in environment, sort of the shift of the ice age to more warmer climates, which allow humans to live in more places, and also develop two primary factors of humanity: farming and domestication of animals. Right, that we can make these more complex societies, and then from those complex societies, we get these first civilizations. And this sort of trajectory is somewhat replicated all across the globe, which you can kind of see in the lectures there. And then these more complex societies form and share commonalities of language, writing, science, concepts, religion. We talk about those as sort of these civilizations, right? This transition to sort of sharedness. And the first one we're going to talk about is Mesopotamia, because that's where a lot of first farming happened. But as we'll see over the next course of the weeks, I mean, all of these different, particularly rivers, were along rivers, almost all major rivers developed a form of civilization. So we'll talk about features of that. Broadly, what they mean, or the lecture talks about what a civilization is, and then each week going forward, we'll talk about the uniqueness of each civilization as well. So, so that kind of gets us right to Mesopotamia, some features of that, and then kind of the first sort of kingdom, if you will, unification of Sargon and Sumer, all that stuff. And then your assignment this week, or two of them, right? One is this introduction, which just talks about like history. What do you know? Pick something that you're interested in history and just share about it. History here. And the big thing is, it's something that you have a picture of. Either go out and take one, or something that you have on your phone that you visited, right? It's just kind of remind us that history is all around us. That we're talking world history. We're going to kind of brush in broad strokes this semester, but it is. I mean, history and in the past plays in the present. So, which is kind of what I talk about. I mean, the lecture also talks about, what is history, big H history, little h history, the use of evidence, primary sources, secondary sources, all of that. So the introduction is sort of a walkthrough of that. So write who you are, and then just record a quick video about your spot, explain it historically. And then the bigger assignment here is this Padlet. We're going to try to create a city in this class. So pick a role. Because this is what humans did, right? I mean, it was specialized labor. Not everyone can be the ruler. Not everyone can be a farmer. Not everyone likes to farm, right? Some people like art. Some people like being a soldier, right? What's your role? And ideally, after we populate this Padlet, we'll see all the roles that civilizations and cities require, and we'll probably figure out there's some that we missed. So. That's what we'll do. So do that by Friday at first. The Padlet should be there. All of those. Introduction. Yeah, just introduce yourself. You don't need to respond to those unless you want to, but just a quick introduction. And then the other thing where you'll find this midweek check-in is the student resources. I have some student announcements there, which I put up every week, weekly, and some opportunities I find that I think are interesting. And then the other big thing there you'll see is a folder called Ka'au Framework. And that's something that we're really trying to implement here at Hawaii Community College. Ka'au means story, right? And then we're trying to think of the college experience as, instead of just a bunch of check boxes that you got to check and get through, so you can get done with this class, so you can get done with this semester, so you can get done with community college, so you can get on to whatever you want to do, right? That we're trying to rethink these as that this class is part of the story of this semester, which is part of a larger story of your time at Hawaii Community College, which is going to shape your life story of what you do, right? That there's a little more holisticness there. That kind of, instead of like sort of compartmentalizing all this stuff that, we're trying, college experience is learning more about yourself and the people around you so they can make you, a well-rounded person. And also supply you with skills that you can utilize in your life. So the Ka'au is like this. The first step of that is the hua, right? The egg, the seed, the motivation. Why are you here? Why are you in Hawaii Community College? What are you doing here in world history? What do you want to get from this class? What do you want to get from this experience? If it's just to check a list off, to just get a credit, fine, whatever. But are there things that you're interested about history that maybe you wanted to learn about or want to kind of focus in this class, and do that, right? And then the halele, the departure, right? We're kind of right on that. What skills do we have? What skills can you get from, one of those, just kind of figure out the format of this class, how it works, kind of following through that, because we're about to stand up on this huakai, this journey. We're going to be together for 16 weeks. How is it going to go? It can go very smoothly. Do all the work, get everything done on Friday, do all the assignments smooth sailing. But as we know, with all journeys and stories, there's usually some sort of storm, some sort of challenge, and they will. This class, there may be challenges in this class, other classes, maybe outside of school. How are you going to navigate those, right? And how are we going to work through those so that we can arrive, we can conclude, get done with the semester, right? The whole, and then the high, what are we going to learn? What can we take from this semester to help us in the future? So that's kind of this Kyle framework idea that we're trying to, step out of college and school is sort of like things I must do, to school and in college is thinking of things that will improve myself. So yeah, that's about it. Look forward to a good semester, and yeah.